that time once again, where all of us need to start saying goodbye to Fortnite Chapter 5, as it'll officially be ending here in just a few more days, and we'll be leaving this reality behind for good. Before we leave this reality, a ton still has to take place before we arrive in the new season, being Chapter 2 Remix, mainly being the real conclusion of the Chapter 5 Season 4 storyline, because believe it or not, Dr. Doom wasn't actually fully defeated during the Doom mini-event, and he is still alive. Once again, back on the Fortnite island, ready to dominate it. But first, if you don't hit the thumbs up button on this video, exactly 111 days, whenever you log on to Fortnite, this'll happen. No! If you do hit the thumbs up button on this video, exactly 111 days, when you log on to Fortnite, this will be waiting for you. Choice is all yours, so choose carefully. If you want to go the extra mile to support the channel, just head on over to the item shop and input my code, HOMAGAMESYT. But ladies and gentlemen, we've wasted too much time. We got a ton of awesome stuff to cover right here in this video, including the conclusion of Chapter 5 and even the return of Doom himself. Let's get into it. Super quickly, before we get to Dr. Doom being alive at his return, first things first, during the Doom mini live event that took place a few weeks ago, really made it seem like we had finally defeated Dr. Doom and rid the Fortnite island of his existence. And even though we were temporarily successful, Dr. Doom was sucked into a rift activated by the rift beacon, along with all of the evil powers unleashed from Pandora's box. Dr. Doom is incredibly smart, always has a backup plan. Turns out him leaving the Fortnite island was actually a part of his plan all along. Let me explain. So we all know the first time Dr. Doom was ever introduced in Fortnite, it's all the way back in Chapter 2 Season 4, where he was actually a boss on the island, but wasn't really the main villain of the season, because obviously, as we all remember, that ended up being Galactus. We got to defeat during the absolutely insane Galactus live event. But during Dr. Doom's first time on the Fortnite island, he immediately recognized all of the potential that it had, decided he would eventually make his return and perfect it for himself. Doom's plan to return to the island actually started in the Marvel Zero War comics. He convinced the Imagined Order that he actually teamed up with them, but eventually, when Doom and all the other members of the IO ended up on the Ice Moon at the Ice King's castle, Doom actually betrayed them and revealed that his only intention was to take advantage of them and use them to help him steal the Doomsday Weapon. Once he had the Doomsday Weapon, he opened up a portal and traveled back to Reality 616's Latveria. And make sure you don't forget about the Doomsday Weapon that Dr. Doom stole. That'll be very important later in the video. But because Reality 616 is a Marvel reality that exists outside of Fortnite, Doomsday Weapon wasn't going to do anything for Dr. Doom in that reality, which meant he needed to find his way back to the Fortnite reality one way or another. Dr. Doom then found the perfect opportunity to accomplish this when Pandora's box appeared on our island and essentially recognized it as his only opportunity to ever make it back to our reality. As we all know, this actually ended up working for Dr. Doom. He was released onto the Fortnite island after Pandora's box exploded during one of the mini events. However, at first, he wasn't Dr. Doom at all, but instead a secret disguised version of him that we all knew to be the Wanderer. But there was one major issue, because on that current Fortnite island, there was no Pandora's box, or at least the current location of it still remained a mystery. Because of that, as we all remember, Dr. Doom ended up teaming up with Megalodon before eventually ending up betraying him during the Pipeline live event, caused the pipeline to blow up in an absolutely massive explosion, and finally accomplished Dr. Doom's main goal of revealing the location of Pandora's box, just so he could simply go on and absorb all of its powers for himself and use them to finally perfect the reality he's been obsessed with for the last few years. And this is where things start to get really interesting. Because check this out. I'm sure I'll remember what happened when Doom finally absorbed the powers of Pandora's box. It resulted in his current armor being fully destroyed and left behind a destroyed version of his original mask. This, at the time, sort of implied that Dr. Doom had already been defeated, which obviously, as we all know, simply wasn't true. Now, there's a reason Doom's helmet left behind after the Doom mini live event looks so similar to the Doom helmet left behind after he absorbed the powers of Pandora's box. It's essentially hinting that Dr. Doom hasn't been defeated and he's still alive inside of the Fortnite storyline, and Dr. Doom's real plan involving the stolen Doomsday Weapon is only just beginning. Let me explain. Obviously, none of us really think that Doom was fully eliminated during the mini event, but instead was simply rifted back to his home reality, being Reality 616, ridding the Fortnite reality of his evilness for good. But little did we know that by rifting Dr. Doom out of our reality, we literally played right into his plan and essentially sealed our own fate. Because for the exact same reason Doom has the entire island being run by his mind-controlled henchmen and not himself, is because he never actually meant to stay on our island forever, but instead always planned on leaving it so he could safely destroy it with his stolen Doomsday device. Originally, Doom's plan to leave the Fortnite island revolved around contacting Mephisto and either use the portal to the underworld set up at Doom's Forge to escape our reality, possibly even make a deal with the devil himself to escape, which Dr. Doom has actually done a few times before inside of the Marvel storyline. His deals typically involve trading the soul of his mother Cynthia Von Doom in exchange for a bunch of power and control in whatever reality he chooses. But lucky for Doom, it never ended up having to come to that, as we, the Islanders, set up a portal to a different reality for him. Obviously, I'm talking about the rip beacons we saw activated during the Doom mini live event. Thankfully for Doom, most of the rip beacons that were focused on Doom's castle ended up being destroyed, meaning the Islanders' plan of rifting all of Latveria out could never be successful. But one rip beacon still got activated, which is all Dr. Doom needed to safely escape our Fortnite reality, all while having the foolish Islanders convinced he'll no longer be an issue. But that's not the case at all, and not only is Dr. Doom still alive, but his plan is the biggest in Fortnite history, and is the entire reason we'll be headed back to Chapter 2 in the next season. Let me explain. All of this is actually connected to Midas, who, as we all remember, was revealed earlier in Chapter 5 as a prisoner being held in the bottom of the underworld. But he quickly made his escape to the Marigold Yacht, reassembled his team of Ghost and Shadow members, and left the Fortnite Island for something he called his next big adventure. And here's where the Doomsday device Dr. Doom stole in the Marvel Zero War comics comes into play, because don't forget, a Doomsday device isn't a new concept here in Fortnite at all. We've actually seen one before, back in Chapter 2 Season 2, that was developed by Midas and his daughter Jules. That was created with the goal of controlling both the loop and the storm, but things ended up going slightly awry, and the entire map ended up being flooded in the next season. We have very good reason to believe that the Doomsday device that was developed by Midas is more than likely the exact same Doomsday device that Dr. Doom stole, because don't forget, located on the Ice Moon inside of the Ice King's castle, Ice King actually had a collection of some of the most powerful artifacts in all of Fortnite history. This includes things from previous Fortnite live events like the remains of the Devourer, and even the remains of the Mecha Team leader before we went there during the Collision live event and fixed it. And since Dr. Doom visited the Ice Moon after Chapter 2 Season 2, it means there's a very good chance Midas's Doomsday device was there at the time as well. What's so interesting about this is the brand new Avengers movie being made about Dr. Doom is literally called Avengers Doomsday, also making it likely that Dr. Doom has been in control of the device for the last few chapters. Thankfully, Midas, the original creator and person with the most general knowledge of how the device operates, has come up with a plan of his own, not necessarily to save our reality from destruction, but at the very least, transport us to somewhere safe, just like the Doomsday device rifted us to the bridge during the original Doomsday event. However, as we mentioned earlier in the video, Midas and his crew left the Fortnite Island to begin their next fruitful adventure, and have been nowhere to be found ever since. So how do we expect him to save us? Let me explain. The whole reason Midas and his crew left the island in the first place actually has to do with the Midas folder that we saw on the desk during the device live event, and I'm sure some of you remember, but this folder actually contained Midas's plans for something known as the Loop Breaker project, and this was essentially Midas's deeper plan for the device live event. Only a small part of it was him trying to control the storm. The much larger part, the Loop Breaker project, actually had to do with him trying to escape the loop altogether. However, that never ended up coming to fruition, where the device's pillars eventually retreated back into the water surrounding the agency. Wait, it gets even better, because a full 2 years later, we found ourselves in Fortnite Chapter 3. And once again, the Loop Breaker project started receiving a ton of attention, because just as Chapter 3 Season 4 launched, and each one of the members of the Seven, with the exception of the Paradigm, got consumed by the Chrome and brought into a different reality known as the Nothing. So the Paradigm informed us, the Loopers, to begin looking into Midas's Loop Breaker project, and get this, not with the goal of getting the members of the Seven back, but instead to simply merge a bunch of realities together and form an entirely new one, a process that she called Zero Fusion.
Ask Jones about the Loop Breaker project. He thinks it's confidential. It's not.
Obviously, as we all know, the Paradigm's plan was a massive success. Zero Point pulled together a bunch of pieces of islands from different realities and created the Chapter 4 map. And I think you guys are smart enough to see where this is going. Obviously, Midas is going to be returning from his adventure here very, very shortly, and he likely went on to find his research about Zero Fusion and the Loop Breaker project in order to bring us into an entirely new reality that will basically be Fortnite Chapter 2. However, a totally remixed version, exactly like the name Chapter 2 Remix implies. However, you probably noticed there's one major issue with that theory, since obviously the Loop Breaker file is located in the bridge between the Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 island, and all of that got exploded and destroyed during the end of Chapter 3 live event, meaning there's literally no way for Midas to access it. Thankfully, there's a very simple way around that. Just don't forget, the Paradigm read Midas's Loop Breaker project and was able to implement it successfully during the Fracture live event, and super recently, the Paradigm has returned to our universe alongside her brand new style known as the Reality Warrior. That essentially implies she has the ability and knowledge to travel to different realities of her choosing, meaning that in order for Midas to get his hands on the Loop Breaker project, all he really has to do is go and link up with the Paradigm. Now, going through Zero Fusion will have some seriously adverse effects on anyone that experiences it. For example, Midas and Meow Souls are actually going to be combined into a brand new skin known as Midas Souls, and the same thing will be happening to a ton of other fan favorite Chapter 2 skins. If you're interested in more info about Chapter 2 Remix, I'll have a video out on Saturday covering everything you absolutely need to know. As more and more information comes out about Dr. Doom being alive and the upcoming live live event. I'll make sure to tweet everything out so you guys can stay up to date over my official Twitter account at HomeAGamesYT. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have an absolutely incredible rest of your day.